After 50 years in ISKCON, I thought I was unshockable. We've seen so many things. But Maya proved us wrong again. Not only myself, but the whole Vaishnav community was shocked by the recent news of a very senior sannyasi who had been in the sannyas ashram over 50 years without any bad record, who was over 80 years old, succumbing to a sexual fall down, the details of which we don't know. It will probably come out sooner or later. I'm not particularly eager to know myself. But actually, we shouldn't be shocked in one sense, because Maya never sleeps. We're in the world of Maya. She never stops trying to get us. But we should learn. When will we learn? Are we doomed to such sad scenarios, one after another, without cessation? Unfortunately, as the saying goes, the only thing we learn from history is that we never learn from history. But we should learn. Relevant here is Srila Prabhupada's purport to Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 4. Unless one's desires are completely transferred to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the desire for family life continues, even after one has taken sannyas. Sometimes, in our society, ISKCON, a person out of sentiment may take sannyas. But because his desires are not burned completely, he again takes to family life, even at the risk of losing his prestige and disgracing his good name. These strong desires can be burned out completely when one fully engages in the service of the Lord in devotional service. I'm not saying this to criticize that devotee or anyone else who's undergone various setbacks. Rather, we should remember the lifetime service record of this Vaishnava. But at the same time, it's a grim warning to us all to not be complacent. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Of course, we have received the grace of God through the mercy of His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, who mercifully, repeatedly instructed us to be careful. Srila Prabhupada told the story of Emperor Akbar asking a minister, who he didn't name, it's well-known, Birbal, until which point in life does sexual desire continue? And Birbal replied, up to the point of death. Akbar doubted, but after some days, the minister came and told him, come with me now, bring your young daughter. So Akbar understood that Birbal must have some important reason for telling him to come. So Akbar went along, and as they were going somewhere, Birbal told him, we're going to visit a dying man. And I want you, when we come in the presence of that dying man, I want you to carefully look at that man's eyes and see what he looks at, where his attention goes. So they came in the room where the man was dying. That is Akbar, Birbal, and the young princess. And Akbar specifically looked at the dying man, expecting that, the emperor has come, the most important person that the man had ever heard for in his whole life, But he saw that instead the attention of that man went to his beautiful young daughter. Then Akbar understood what Birbal had said, that sexual desire continues until the point of death, or at least can continue. So, this recent incident should serve as a warning to all sannyasis and should make us all think, how do we stop any more fall downs in future? Seems to be a big problem. What are we going to do? But actually, the answer is simple, and it's not a secret. There is the sannyasi code that a sannyasi should never be alone with a woman. And that includes in the plural, women. You might think, well, it's okay if I'm alone with two women, I'm not alone with one, but no, that's not allowed. If a sannyasi's disciples see their guru, or if anyone sees a guru going into a situation where he's going to be alone with a woman, or even a young girl, even for a few seconds, the disciple, or whoever it may be, should strongly protest, even if his guru becomes upset. In this case, it's not just allowed to protest against your guru, it's compulsory. Similarly, no woman should agree to be alone with the sannyasi even for a few seconds. It's improbable that something bad will happen in a few seconds, but don't trust Maya and don't trust our own mind. Even the tendency for a sannyasi to be alone with a woman is questionable, and it raises suspicions and can give rise to accusations. Even if nothing happens, it could be accused that, well, you were alone and probably something happened. Actually, sannyasis should have as little to do as possible with women. That's the general rule. In the modern age, society has changed, and sannyasis, they interact with women, but as a general rule, it should be minimized as much as possible. Just as an aside, let us hope that the female devotee involved in this incident is being spiritually cared for. She's also a devotee. Srila Prabhupada would often quote a verse from Bhagavatam. It's also in Manu Samhita. Matra svasra duhitra va na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvangsam api karshati. One should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. Srila Prabhupada set the example in his old age by refusing to be alone with his sister, who was also elderly and also a pure devotee. Even if a female wants to speak something privately, the sannyasi should refuse, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. When he was of grandfather's age to the wife of one of his disciples, O.B.L. Kapoor, she asked to speak to him privately, and he refused. There's no question in anyone's mind that our own Srila Prabhupada or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could have fallen down, but they set the example for lesser beings like ourselves. Sannyasis should preferably always be in the company of other males, not homosexuals, just to add another word of warning, because well, you can understand there could be a problem there also. A sannyasi may be alone in a room, but at least one male should be in the next room or close by. As far as possible, sannyasis should not travel alone. If they speak on the phone with a female, better that her husband or father or son is with her, and preferably on the sannyasi side also. A male should be there. Even in exchanges by email or whatever, better if there is female writing to a male or vice versa, that another male be added as a receiver. Most fall downs don't just happen, boom, like that. There are often deeper causes, such as offenses or slackness in spiritual practices. But at least these basic precautions should be followed so that even if a devotee is struggling, they don't get in a situation where they are more likely to fall. Or it could be that someone's not particularly in spiritual trouble, but they get in such a situation, they allow themselves to get in that situation alone with a woman, and they fall because the fire and butter principle is always applicable. The example is there in Shastra, that if you put ghee in a pot close to fire, it's going to melt. So this example is given that if man and woman are put together, then the man's good intelligence is likely to melt in the fire of lust. There can be accidental fall downs, somehow or other by Maya's amazing arrangements. You're alone, didn't want to, or didn't premeditate it, but you're alone with a woman and something happens. But precautions should be taken that accidents don't happen. Just like flying in an airplane is potentially dangerous. Therefore, the regulation is that before each flight, the plane must be thoroughly checked to see that every part, down to the smallest nut and bolt, is properly in order. The pilots also have regulations so that they're in proper mental and physical shape before flying. Even to become a pilot requires much training, discipline, and commitment. Joining the sannyas ashram is like entering the elite corps in the military, like the Green Beret in America or the Special Armed Services in Britain. Let's be honest, ISKCON's rate of sannyas fall downs is nothing to be proud of, to put it mildly. It has much improved since the GBC instituted rigid training and selection procedures, but still, even one sannyas fall down is one too many. Apart from sannyas fall downs, ISKCON's record of divorce and remarriage is also nothing to be proud of. Whatever ISKCON's contributions spiritually, socially our movement is pretty messy. About time we started thinking seriously about instituting Srila Prabhupada's instructions concerning Varnashram Dharma. In Varnashram Dharma, rules governing separation between men and women are not only for sannyasis, although for sannyasis it's most strict, but no man should be alone except with his wife and mother. A man alone with a woman, you might think it's okay, but Shastra warns, don't get too close, even to your mother. It's unimaginable, seemingly, that a man could be attracted to his mother, but Kali Yuga is so bad that any kind of degradation seems possible. Even with one's sister or daughter, Shastra warns, be careful. Previously, in any society that considered itself civilized, it was considered very wrong to become overly friendly with or to try to seduce a married woman, or for a woman to get close to a married man. Adultery is low class, very sinful. You have to suffer and go to hell. Read the last chapter of the Bhagavatam, 5th canto. Read what it says about the punishments for illicit sex. Believe it. It's frightening. Adultery is one of the major sins mentioned in the Ten Commandments. And although still in many countries it is still considered wrong, morally, it's not illegal in many countries that it used to be illegal in. It's legalized in India, for instance, although in India adultery is still acceptable grounds for pleading for divorce. Illicit sex messes up the lives of those who engage in it, and the lives of so many others who are connected to those who indulge in it. And when illicit sex is normalized, as it is in much of the world, it messes up the whole society. Yeah, man is going with a woman, young boys and girls having sex, no idea, not even getting married, because what's the point? And a major reason the social condition of the world everywhere is such a mess is the normalization of illicit sex. One of the main points that Srila Prabhupada instituted, no illicit sex. But we come from such a bad background and the atmosphere is so contaminated. It's like illicit sex is just everywhere in the atmosphere, at the very least the thought of it. And if we're trying not to think of it, then the way people dress and behave and on the internet and billboards and everything, it's just overly sexually stimulated society, ridiculously overly stimulated. Earlier this year, a disciple of mine, a married man, about 50 years old, has a teenage daughter. He told me he lamented that he was still attracted to women. Most men at that age are still very eager, but being a saintly person, he lamented that he still had that attraction. And he told me with some surprise that even though he's somewhat elderly and in poor health, he senses that certain younger women are attracted to him, and it would be quite easy for him to reciprocate and fall down. Then what he told me, I became very pleased when he told me that he would rather die than break the principles and fall into illicit sex. Very good. It's not so bad to be attracted by illicit sex, but to resolve to overcome it, that is saintly. Because what happens, just like in his case or any similar case, what a devastation it would be, not only for his own spiritual life, but for his wife and daughter and the many devotees who respect and trust him. So please, I beg all of you, protect your invaluable spiritual life. After many, many births, we got the opportunity to come to the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in a bona fide parampara, link up to Krishna. Don't spoil it for some petty, nasty sense gratification. And protect me also. Don't think because I'm saying this that I'm some kind of Superman who can never have problems. Thinking like that about others cause so many problems. Oh, he's a guru, he's a sannyasi. Sadhu savdhan, be careful. Going beyond sexual desire is not very common. For our edification, Shastra relates the fall into sexual attraction of personalities as great as Lord Brahma and Vishvamitra. Even if someone thinks he is liberated and beyond sexual attraction, he should remember the example of these two great acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the example they set to instruct others, and especially those who have taken sannyas, should always be conscious to never act in a way to bring dishonor to our acharyas and to the whole Vaishnava society.